the idea of us wanting and promoting a team back in Adelaide. So if there's more channels, then it can all help. So go for it.
Yeah, no, all right, cheers, Darren. I'll see what happens anyway. But cheers, all right. Yeah, whenever you're ready, let's do it. Thank you again.
All right. It's Wednesday night, and that can only mean it's Rampage League podcast time. And joining me online is Apai. How are you doing this week? It's been a little while since we've caught up and talked rugby league.
Yeah, well, it has been, and as you can probably see, I've unfortunately lost my shaver. So, my beard's growing a little bit there, guys, ladies and gents. But look, I've been well, I've been good, and as per usual, we are here to talk about all things league and obviously the Adelaide Rams. But yeah, I've been good. Really excited about the finals footy. The weekend that was and all that stuff. So, I guess it's probably a perfect segue, Darren, to get into the NRL. I guess review and preview.
Absolutely. Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. So we'll get straight into it. So the first game was a Storm against the Bulldogs. Um, I'll tell you what, this game here was look, despite the Bulldogs losing, I thought they actually put up a decent fight there. Again, the Storm with class in the end there. But the Bulldogs, I reckon there was probably a moment in the game there where one kick, one decision went astray, and it probably could have made them win the game, I think. But nonetheless, the Storm were pretty clinical. Crichton, unfortunately, was injured for them, the captain there. But overall, just a valiant effort. But the Storm, as I said, showing nothing but pure class there. In the second game, we had the. Actually, no, before I go into that, what were your sort of thoughts on that game there, Darren? Storm and Bulldogs.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised. I thought Bulldogs would put a bit more of a fight, but Storm's shown their class and came out with the win.
Yeah, absolutely. And the second game over in New Zealand. Now, quickly before I start, there was a little bit of a controversy to this game because it sort of clashed with the All Blacks, and obviously, I think a lot of people or pundits or critics or what have you were sort of saying, why is the NRL trying to go up against the All Blacks? Well, my sort of thought, and I'm glad a lot of other people on the social media agreed as well, is that basically who cares about the All Blacks? With all due respect, it's about the Warriors, about the NRL, and obviously, they don't care. It's a competition. The NRL don't need to respect what New Zealand does when it comes to sport, unless it's rugby league. Then that's their only care. So, again, I really appreciated what the NRL did there, and I get it. A lot of Kiwis who watch both codes were probably humming and ahhing, but I personally didn't care. I'm pretty one-eyed leaguey as they come, so good on the NRL. Anyway, nonetheless, I digress. The Warriors hosted and lost to the Penrith Panthers. A grueling first half from both sides. Very much a chess match, if you will, cancelling each other out. Uh, Isaiah Papali'i was quite superb there for the Penrith Panthers. Leka Halasima, as per usual. We all know the name. I don't need to say it twice. He has been an absolute warrior there for the Warriors, pun intended as well there, folks. And I thought overall in the second half as well, unfortunately, it just came down to having better game management. And when you have Nathan Cleary as your halfback, Darren, it's pretty hard to beat, isn't it? What do you reckon?
For sure. Absolutely. Just going back to the first point that you made, I noticed it was a Warriors home game. How many
Yes.
states in Australia would have that same issue? The only other state in Australia that would have possibly had the issue if they were still around would have been the Rebels in Melbourne. So, yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly right, exactly right. And in the sorry, apologies, Karen, Darren.
No. Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed about this game. I guess it was a foregone conclusion with the Panthers, but I would have liked the Warriors to put up a bit more of a fight, considering it's in the finals. But
Yeah, yeah. Look, I absolutely agree with you, but unfortunately, just as I touched on before, the kicking game from Nathan Cleary was just heads and shoulders above that of Tyler Boyd. The Warriors were trying to muster a bit, but unfortunately, as I said, just yeah. When your kicking game is on point, there's not much you can do. And unfortunately for the Warriors, we couldn't counteract there defensively. But nonetheless, the Panthers put on a clinic and they won well against the New Zealand Warriors. And in saying that, though, what a season for the Warriors. But anyway, we move on to the next game. On Saturday, we had the Sharks against the Roosters here over at Sharks Stadium. Um, this game here was a bit of a slugfest at first. Uh, Not the prettiest game of rugby league to watch, to be fair. But in saying that, though, nonetheless, the Sharks get the job done. Mulitalo scoring a double there. Mark Nawakani Tawaze scoring a try, as well as Angus Crichton there. I thought in this game here, I took the Roosters, so I may sound a little bit biased. Sorry, they're Sharks fans. But I thought if the Roosters could have cleaned their ball handling skills up a bit, there was definitely a chance. There were some overlaps from the Sharks attacking, but I mean, it's only the Roosters drop balls that really let them in, the Sharks anyway. But nonetheless, good teams always punish those who make mistakes, Darren. So the Sharks there finishing the Roosters season, continuing on.
that's it. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Looking at
Looking
the
at the teams here.
teams that are
Yes.
still in the running, who is your uh, tip for the grand finalists or the two teams in the grand final?
Yeah, look, oh, I I reckon Panthers and Raiders possibly. But in saying that though, yeah, look, it's still early days yet. But
Yeah.
Panthers and Raiders for me. Yeah.
Right.
And,
Okay.
and so this last game here of the semis, oh sorry, of the sorry, the last game here was the Raiders against the Broncos. I'm not sure if you watched this game here, but this game here was probably one of the best games I've seen in terms of drama. Now, a lot of people were split on this game. You have those who are very happy, they loved it, the chaos, the drama, the birds, if you will, right, the headbutts and stuff, all to go along with it. And then you have others who said that was such a poorly ref game. They don't know why on earth Mr. Klein ref that game, why on earth he's even in the games coming up in the next week and fortnights, etc. So again, a lot of I guess two ways to think about this game here, but I thought it was a fun game. Hats off, or should I say, a tip of the hat there to Reese Walsh. He was superb in that game there. Darren, did you watch that game?
I caught the highlights and I've been catching up with the controversy. Considering all the controversy that went on, it was only a point in it. And that is saying something about the quality of the game. Yeah, 28 to 29.
Yeah,
Not bad.
no, no, not bad at all. But there was a moment there in extra time when the Raiders, I thought anyway, had won the game. I thought they'd won the game, and then they went back on the replays. Right, it's one of those things where the bunker makes a call, and you have fans who are split and divided. I personally thought the ball was knocked on by a Broncos player. Obviously, the bunker and co thought otherwise. It was knocked on from a Raiders player. The rest is history, as you know. But nonetheless, what a good game, full of emotion, drama. Now we head into next week. Obviously, the Raiders, are they going to be psychologically ready for this battle against the Sharks? Or do the Sharks smell blood in the water, right? But overall, again, back to that game. Good game, solid game. Patrick Carrigan as well, 1 week suspension heading into the prelim as well. FYI, people, ladies and gents. So please be ready for that one there. Um, Darren, I think we will head into the previews now of the upcoming games in the semifinals.
Okay.
All right. So the first game is the Raiders, as we touched on, against the Sharks. Look, both teams have already named their squads. It's basically this. It's virtually the same squad for both teams here. virtually identical. Um, Gee whiz. Yeah, look, Tom Hazelton is back in the reserves for the Sharks. Could we see him sneaking to the 17? Possibly. Um,
Yes.
Look, there's a lot of questions riding on this. Are the Raiders capable after that loss? There's a lot of psychology involved there. There's a lot of what's the word? A lot of stamina, a lot of fitness. Because despite the fact that obviously the Raiders had that long game they rested, that doesn't mean anything. In rugby league, it's so physical, so arduous. You're carrying all those pains right into your next game. So will the Raiders be able to pack pack them up, pick it up, stack it up against the Sharks? Darren, before I give you guys my tips, what are your tips for this game?
Oh, that's hard. I think the Raiders will bounce back and take the win.
Yeah, awesome. And Darren, sorry,
Yes.
this is off. Cut this off. Um, just to clarify, are we recording on StreamYard or are you recording on another source?
Oh, sorry. I'm recording on another source.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, sorry. So you
Yep.
can cut this out. Sorry, apologies. All
That's
right,
all
cool,
right.
cool. Sorry for that. I just want because over here on StreamYard it said it hasn't recorded. I was like, oh, something's happened. So I just thought I would.
No,
Yeah,
we're all good.
all good.
Yep.
All right, no worries. 3, 2, 1, action. All right. Okay. So who are you tipping here for this game here? Who are you tipping, Darren?
I'm quite like looking at the Raiders. I think they'll bounce back and take the chocolates.
Yeah. Look, I think they'll bounce back as well. I mean, look, uh, I won't lie, there, Canberra fans. There was part of me that was actually leaning towards the Sharks, but I think as the days have sort of progressed, I really think the Raiders are going to do. They're minor premiers. They're not going to surely go on straight sets here. This is a very these high pressure guys. So do the Raiders go on straight sets? I don't think so. And if they do, sheesh. Reminds me of a certain team, aka the Adelaide Crows there, Darren.
Yes, we won't talk about that.
Anyway, we digress, ladies and gents.
Yes.
Bulldogs against the Penrith Panthers. Now the Bulldogs have named a team that is a little bit how do I say this? These a few injured bodies. Now, Stephen Crichton potentially, right? Marcelo Montoya potentially, right? I think there's some other players as well carrying some niggling little injuries there, but nonetheless, the Penrith Panthers have now finally, since the beginning of the season, actually brought on their full strength squad, Darren, for the first time
Wow,
this year.
right.
Um, Better late than never, and better right now than ever. I guess is probably what I'm going to say. So, yeah, look, this game here, right? It's bragging rights. Obviously, the Warriors couldn't stop the dynasty. The question is, can the Bulldogs stop the dynasty, Darren? Now, I know these two teams have met. The Bulldogs have won before, I believe, this year. However, in saying that, though, this is a much determined Penrith team, and we're getting lost in the Broncos. We're getting lost in the Storm. We're getting lost in the Raiders. We got to remember that the Penrith Panthers are four-time Premiership champions, Darren. I feel like
Yep.
we're disrespecting them just a little. We're not giving them their chocolates, and they definitely deserve a look at the ice cream as well, just quietly. So, look, I'm going to just say it now. Despite the Bulldogs and obviously them being at home, I feel like the Panthers are going to show everyone they are primed and ready. I don't regret saying this, so I'll say it. Penrith Panthers, 13 plus. Darren, 13 plus.
Whoa, there you go, listeners. Yep, you've heard it from FI.
Yeah.
Um, well, just on the NRL.com website, and the Bulldogs are eyeing a record crowd in bid to end the Panthers' reign. Bulldogs are determined to feed off the energy of more than 70,000 fans as they call on their passionate supporters to set a new finals record on Sunday afternoon. So it could be a hostile stadium
Well,
on Sunday.
I'll tell you what, Darren, and of course, this is all said in jest. It'll probably be a bad day to be a water bottle. So hold on to your seats there, ladies and gents.
Ah, yes. Yep.
I could there. Okay, doggies fans. It was just a little joke there. We're all it's all love and laughter. But anyway, look, yeah, Darren, I guess that's it. We're both tipping the Panthers there, despite the Bulldogs and their valiant effort. I think the Panthers will be too much there. So that's our tips. What are your tips? Give me your thoughts. Give us your thoughts on the final so far, and who do you think is going to win it all? But in saying that though, before we get into the next segment, Darren, I want an ad break, mate. Let's get into it.
All right. You're listening to Ozsports Radio, who are proudly bringing the Rampage League podcast to your radio.
Enjoying the awesome content on the Sports Drive on Ozsports Radio. Excited to promote your fantastic product or service? Reach out to our amazing Ozsports Radio sales team by dropping us an email at admin@ozsportsonline.com. We can't wait to collaborate with you.
That's right, listeners. We would love to talk to you about sponsorship and how you can be involved in the Rampage League podcast. All you got to do is just send an email to our marketing team, and they'd be happy to talk to you and get you involved in the Rampage League podcast. I'm joined, as I am every week on the Rampage League podcast, by App Eye. Now, we've just talked about the results and the previews of the finals. You've got an interesting topic tonight that we're going to be discussing.
Yes. Well, ladies and gents, there is definitely a few topics, and if you have missed them, please tune into the previous episodes where we covered different things, stadiums, possibly having a Super Rugby and an NRL team from Adelaide, obviously the Rams and the Black Falcons, that is representing the rugby side, and how the two codes can, for lack of a better word or saying, hold hands, um, and sort of embrace this new sort of coexisting between the two codes, specifically in South Australia. So if you haven't done so, please tune in. You won't regret it. Some good fun yarns between Darren and I. A lot of laughs as well in between. But definitely some good info there and things there that just what do you when you and I discuss things, I like to get the listeners there to actually have a bit of a think. I thought provoking. I like them to sort of use their mind, their initiative, and sort of do a bit of research or even a bit of opinion piece. So I think that is so important as well when we're sort of discussing and involving you guys as the listeners there. But again, yes, we'll jump straight into it. Actually, I mean, I'm pretty keen to hop on. So, right, Darren. So the topic for today, ladies and gents, as we know, we hear this. We always hear the words associated with Adelaide when it comes to the Rams. We hear words such as too small, right? No one cares. AFL territory, all that jazz, all that rubbish. But harnessing on the word population, okay, population. There's a lot of people that sort of throw again, as I said, word sayings that Adelaide is too small to have a rugby league team. Too small, too little. Well, Darren, I did a bit of digging myself, and thanks to Google, thanks to Grok, thanks to Chat GPT, I was able to, and Wikipedia, I was actually able to sort of discover some things that might, I think, surprise you. So, yeah, look, I know I'm being a little bit long winded here, but it's for all intents and purposes. Um, I actually want to talk about the location, uh, sorry, the population of each of the teams that the NRL represent, all right, the areas they come from. So, for example, the North Queensland Cowboys, they come from Townsville, right? The South Sydney Rabbitohs, they come from South Sydney. Now, just to clarify, I understand that obviously if you fuse the whole of Sydney together, obviously we're talking the millions. But we're not going to do that because that's just unfair. Because let's be honest, just because these are Sydney Roosters doesn't mean they're the same as the Newcastle Knights. Doesn't mean they're the same as the Penrith Panthers or the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, for example. Okay, so that's the reason why I thought it would be better just to separate them and name each location. So, Darren, are we ready?
We are. Yes, we are.
So, whenever someone says Adelaide is too small in population, right? Just remember this: the Cowboys, Townsville, population. Guess what, Darren? 182,000 people come from Townsville.
Right. Okay. Yep.
So, according to the research I did, in terms of the NRL, that is the least populated um, town from in which a NRL team comes from is Townsville, 182,000. Okay, now think about this in retrospect. The Cowboys are a dedicated fan base, hardcore to the bone. Cowboy fans can be found throughout Australia, from the tip to the lowest point, right? From Kangaroo, I know of people in Kangaroo Island who are devout Cowboy fans. Don't you worry. And and I'm sure there are people up in the Northern Territory, from the highest to the lowest point of Australia. They're everywhere. But still, Darren, nonetheless, 182,000 people come from Townsville. Okay, did you know that?
No, I didn't know. No.
Okay, and the next team, and I'm gonna sort of brush it off here, but next team is the Tigers, coming from Campbelltown, 194,000 people, Darren, that the Tigers
Right.
represent, technically
Okay.
represent, right? Represent. Yep. The Penrith Panthers, right? Obviously from Penrith, 217,000 people. Okay. South Sydney, give or take, where the Rabbitohs are from, 230,000 people, Darren. Did you expect higher?
Yeah, I thought so. Yes.
Yeah, no. So from South Sydney alone, obviously we're not combining, like I said, we're not combining the whole of Sydney, because if you do that, that's definitely in the millions. We get that. But if you're going location by location, that's 245. Now the next one is the East Sydney. So Roosters, they come technically from the east, right? Eastern suburbs, Eastern Sydney, right? 245,000 people, Darren.
Right.
245. You got the Sharks from Cronulla Sutherland, right? 248,000 people come from there. And we have the Eels, Parramatta, good old Parramatta. I've been to the Parramatta Mall. I've been to Parramatta. It's a nice place. Good food, good culture. 260,000 people, Darren, from Parramatta. Have you been to Parramatta?
Not that I can remember. No.
No. And guys, this will all build up into something. So I'm getting there. Manly and Warringah, right? This is the team here that Darren follows. And yeah, are you from Manly? Eh?
I'm actually from Epping.
Ah, Epping. Got you.
Yes.
Um, well, yes, our friend here, Darren, is a huge and staunch Sea Eagles fan, and he'll
Yes.
probably be surprised to know that in Manly and Warringah, there's only 268,000 people that come from there.
Okay. Right.
So over in the Wollongong, the Dragons, 315,000 people. 315. The
Yep.
Newcastle Knights, so over Newcastle, never been there
Mm-hmm.
before, would like to go there. 348,000 people come from Newcastle. Okay,
Yep.
so I'm gonna make some brackets here. But if the new NRL team that comes is from PNG, quote unquote PNG, and they play in Port Moresby, despite the fact that he's break. Yep. Sorry, Darren.
Continue on about Papua New Guinea, but I want to come back to Papua New Guinea after. Yeah.
Right, gotcha. Okay,
Yep.
okay. Three. So what I'll do now,
Yep.
Darren, is I'll go 3, 2, 1, action, and I'll
Yep.
touch on, and I'll go back to the Papua New Guinea.
Yep.
3, 2, 1, action. And next we have here is Papua New Guinea. Now I'll just put here in brackets Because we know the population of Papua New Guinea is 10.3 million, but they're actually going to be based in Port Moresby, technically, right? Technically. So Port Moresby, the population there is 410,000. 410. I think a lot of people are surprised there. 410,000.
Yes.
Um, yeah, you thought more, but the
Hmm.
Canberra Raiders over in Canberra, 474,000 people. So just under 500K, right? And you got so the Dolphins are technically based in Redcliffe, also known as Moreton Bay, right? 522,000, so just over half a mil. All right, and then you have the Gold Coast Titans over in the Gold Coast, obviously representing a population of 645,000. Now, Darren, this is where we get up to the
Yes.
millions. This is where we get up to the millions. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I'm actually going to go from the top down just to give you guys some perspective. The Melbourne Storm, obviously, the Melbourne Storm, there's only one team in the NRL from Melbourne. Obviously, if they were all dissected like they are in the AFL, you have Collingwood, you have Hawthorn, you have St Kilda, you got, you know, Footscray, etc., right? I will dissect it like that, like I have done with the Sydney teams, right?
Yep.
But obviously, Melbourne Storm only represent one city. 5.3 million people. Melbourne Storm represent 5.3 million people in Melbourne. Okay. In Brisbane, they represent 2.7 million people. Okay. The soon to be Perth Bears, 2.2 million people they represent. Okay, guys. So remember, it's called Perth. It's called Brisbane Broncos, Perth Bears. So I'm only going based on that location, that town, not including any different little towns and little suburbs here and there, just based where they're from. The Auckland, New Zealand. Okay, obviously they're called the New Zealand Warriors, right?
Yep.
A population of 5.3 million, but technically based in Auckland. To be fair with you, the population there is 1.7 million. Now, guys, you're probably wondering what's going on, what's happening. Here's the kicker: Adelaide, right? Population 1.4 million. Darren,
Wow. Yep.
Darren, 1.4 million. People say that we are too small. People say that it's 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 not going to work. People say that there's not going to be any interest. Mind you, just quickly, just quietly, in the latest state of origin as well, over 100,000 people turned up and watched that game from from Adelaide. Over 100,000 people rocked up and watched it. People say there's no appetite there, and they say nobody's going to care. Yet you got some of the most staunch supporters from South Australia who love their rugby league are from South Australia. Right, last
Yep.
year,
Yep.
one of South Australia's very own, right? He won volunteer. What was it last year? Or the year before, he won volunteer of the NRL, the year award,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Darren, I gave you a bit of a snapshot, or not really, a bit of a discussion there as per population. What are your thoughts on everything that I've told you, but specifically the fact that Adelaide are well and above that 1 million mark? And what are your thoughts on that? And obviously, come on, what are your thoughts? Give me.
It's these people that we've got to get in contact with and get them on board. It's we've got the population. We're not just a small country town. We're a big capital city, and we've got the population. Why?
Yes.
Why don't we have a team? We're getting crowds to State of Origin, getting quite good crowds when we have club matches here. Everything just points to why don't we have a team, and that we should have a team. Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely. These definitely, and we've touched on it as well in previous podcasts, guys. There's definitely a lot of new fans that are definitely in the waiting here in Adelaide. 1.5 million fans. You know, think about it. You got Adelaide representing 1.4, 1.5 million people, and then you got the likes of, and again, this is not meaning any disrespect. Facts are facts. Here are the numbers. You got the Tigers, West Tigers, are representing 194 people. 94,000 people. You got the East Sydney the Roosters will represent 245, etc., as I've named before. But you got Adelaide there, 1.4, 1.5 million people. Rams, Adelaide Rams. I mean, again, yeah. Look, whenever someone touches on that, the whole population thing, I like I said, Darren, it forced me to actually do a bit of research, and that's what I found out as well. I mean, look at the likes of Melbourne Storm, Brisbane Broncos, Perth Bears. We are right up there amongst them. If we had a team, we'd be right up there in the thick of it. Would be up there in the thick of it.
Absolutely, we would.
And this sort of brings me back to that. And this is another topic as well, definitely, Darren. And we will definitely go back to PNG as well, because I know Darren and I had a little chat about it. We definitely want to go back into that. But just quickly, with the Rams anyway, I think both Crows and Port, I think more Port Adelaide, actually had a record number of members this season, I believe. I think Crows, I'm not sure. Anyway, regardless of pointers, both of them had high record numbers. Again, just imagine uniting half of that fan base, even half of that fan base into the Rams. You don't need all 60 of them from each, even half. Just imagine half of that fan base. Darren, come on, think about it. What are your thoughts? What if you could even, yeah, what if even half, or say even 20,000 from there, 20,000 from there, joined up and became Ram fans, Ram members? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, that would just show success, and that we do have dedicated fans here who are willing to reach into their pocket and buy membership. And it just proves that if these fans are willing to do that, then why don't we get a team? We've got the fan base. Now we just need a team. And if we
Yeah,
could
that's right.
get that number in our first or two seasons as fans memberships, we'd be doing pretty well financially and
Yeah, look, I think so. I think obviously we all know as well, Darren, that finance is really important when starting a team. But I almost feel like the NRL want to see, not, I mean, they want to see finance, but I think they also want to see engagement. I think engagement from the NRL is really important, and I truly believe Adelaide is definitely an engaged, going to be ready for engagement. You touched on it, right? Fan base and all. We have, I think we have the fans there, and again, we touched on this in the previous talking about stadiums. But if Peter Malinakis, Mister Malinakis, was to build a stadium or go back to something like that, as mentioned before in a previous podcast with the previous party, that is, how good would that be? Yeah, look, we can sit here though and talk about all these things, but it's about putting it into fruition. Anyway, Darren,
yes.
back to PNG, please. Let's have a chat about the mob up in PNG.
Well, our Prime Minister, Albanese, has been doing the circuit of the islands and hoping to get a couple of signatures on a couple of security agreements. And one of the countries that didn't sign, drum roll, Papua New Guinea. So with with Australia giving a huge amount of money to start the team, this is kind of like a slap in the face to the Australian government.
Well, my answer to that, Darren, is don't say I didn't warn you. Don't say I didn't warn you. I look, when it comes to not to deviate here, but I will just sort of say this quietly. When it comes to matters of politics in the Pacific, being a Pacific Islander myself, it's a very complex subject, very complex. Which is one of the reasons why I probably wasn't one of the biggest fans of the announcement of the PNG team, because I knew that it's not just give PNG a lot of money, give them a team, and watch them smile. I don't think people see a lot of Australians, particularly the Australians who want this to happen. They don't understand the history, the context, the politics at play here, the unrest over in the PNG. They don't understand that. They just think of, oh yeah, a new expansion team, more players, guys, guys. Again, not to deviate here, but it is a very complex thread, different pieces moving. So I'm not even surprised, Darren, that PNG didn't sign that. I understand that another country, well, just a country named China, um, has probably a bit of a hand at play here. So again, not to creep there, but I think I'll just say no more than that. But in saying that though, with PNG not being in there, obviously that, let's say hypothetically PNG are not named. All right. We celebrate, we party, we get our groove on there, Darren. But then that remains then that there's still gonna be how many teams? You got Dolphin, you still got, I guess, really, you still got two more teams on the table, don't you?
That's right.
Realistically.
And then, if Papua New Guinea aren't going to come to the table and sign, should the Australian government ask for the money back and then the money be put to states to have their own team in Australia?
You know what? This is probably the perfect segue for a commercial, because when we come back, we're actually going to talk about the other side of this, and obviously the team potentially replacing. So in saying that though, DJ, hit the commercial. Sorry for that, Darren. I thought I'll do that. I thought, you know what, you're going something really interesting, so I thought I had to play on that. Sorry, mate. Thought I'd break it in half anyway, just to make it easier on all of us.
And we're back on the Rampage League podcast. You're with Appi and myself, Darren. And if you've and we've just been talking about the current NRL teams and the population that they represent. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And look, we were able to sort of get a few, um, I guess, points there, and hopefully they've come across. But again, just before we sort of touch, and obviously this topic here will be about the hypothetical if there is no PNG, and if Australia was to ask for that money back. Darren was sort of alluding to the question of, do we use that money? Do we funnel that through to good old Adelaide? And before we sort of touch into that one, I just want to quickly say, yeah, look, give us your thoughts again on the talking about the location. Um, do you agree with what I said? Do you disagree? I mean, numbers don't lie. I mean, Adelaide, 1.45 million. If you even got 100,000 or even 80,000 people, that's success. You can build on that over the years. You know what I mean? Obviously, there's a sugar hit and then sort of maybe a plateau, but I don't think so. I think there's definitely a need there. Adelaide is wanting to prove itself to be a festive city, a sporting city, a city where you can come and you know do your biggest, best sporting events. Rugby league, NRL, knock on that door. Come on, but yeah, give us your thoughts on all that stuff there. That's it. That's it. But look, in saying that though, we now turn our attention now, Darren. Before we had that commercial break there, you basically asked the question of if the money is now no longer hypothetically going to be used for PNG, and it does sound like it might not be. Um, knock on wood, hopefully. No offense, but that's just how I feel. I'll be honest with you guys. Yeah, you asked the question, where does that money go? Did you want to sort of explain and expand on that, Darren, please?
Well, I actually haven't seen or read what was tied to the amount that the Australian government promised to Papua New Guinea and what they had to do to meet the criteria and what would happen if they didn't sign agreements or met their end of the bargain. And so, if these agreements that Albanese is gone over to Papua New Guinea to hopefully get signed, should the Australian government look at the agreement and say, well, you haven't met this, you haven't met this, we would like the money back. And what if that's the case, then I'd just like to see the money stay under the rugby league banner and maybe distributed to states that are looking at having a team.
Well, look, I guess in all seriousness, to add on to what you're saying, because hypothetically, if PNG were not to be in the comp, there's really only one state outside in Australia that technically should have a team. Now, I won't brush off the fact that I'm actually open to another Brisbane team. Okay, I won't brush off the fact that I do now. I've spoken to some people and they've given me their opinions, and I agree. I reckon hypothetically, if there was no PNG team, I would be open to having another Brisbane team. Sure, why not? Brisbane Broncos, and there was I know there was two other teams that were brought up as well regarding expansion before the Dolphins were in. There was the Brisbane Bombers or the Brisbane Firehawks. Now I'm pretty sure Darren that may ring a bell as well to Darren there and to all your listeners there. So I would be open to the NRL just saying, yeah, sure, another Brisbane, 5 Queensland teams, sure, I'm open to it. Darren, before I sort of carry on, what are your thoughts on that? Do you oppose or do you agree with, um, if there were 2 spots left, having another Queensland team, aka Brisbane team, or do you oppose it?
No, I agree with that. Even though they've got two AFL sides, Queensland is always going to be a rugby league state. And having another team from Queensland, it can only enhance the competition and make the Broncos and the Titans even stronger. So, yes, I would. But saying that, I don't want it to be at the possibility of Adelaide not getting a team. If Adelaide are in the conversation with Brisbane having another team, as long as it's not one or the other. If it's 2 teams, one from Brisbane, one from Adelaide, I'm happy for that. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's what I'm definitely implying. For Brisbane to have obviously just five, for Queensland, sorry, to have 5 teams. Obviously, we know they have the Cowboys, we know they have the Titans, the Dolphins, and the Broncos.
Yeah.
And obviously, yeah, implying that that would be the 15 would probably be the Brisbane Bombers or the Brisbane Firehawks, what have you, Brisbane, whatever. And yeah, we understand that Queensland is always going to be a rugby league state, regardless of the fact that the Lions are there, and regardless of the fact that the Lions are technically more successful than the Broncos are. To be fair with you, they are more successful than the Brisbane Broncos. It'll always be a Queens, but but again, that argument can obviously be placed here as well for us in Adelaide. Obviously, we know Adelaide is always forever. South Australia is always forever going to be a deeply enriched football state. We've got history here that dates back to the mid to early 1800s. Sorry, to late 1800s, mid to late 1800s of football rugby league only coming and being really relevant in the 1940s, 50s in South Australia. And I get that. These probably over 50, 60 years ahead there. But in saying that, nonetheless, is not the point. The point is obviously having a team here. So if you had a team in another team in Brisbane, obviously that left one more. And with that funding too, again, hypothetically, guys, well, it's all hypotheticals here for the time being. If you were to that, so apparently it was reported that I don't know. Now I may be way off the ballpark here, Darren. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I heard around 500, like between 4 to 5, $600 million was used or for PNG. Is that right? Around
Seems
that time.
very close to it, if not right on the mark. Yes.
Right. So that's what I sort of read. That was what that was what was reported, guys. So
Yep.
um, imagine if Peter Malinakis and the sports government body here in South Australia could ask the NRL, hey, I understand that you're doing stuff there with Perth and et cetera, et cetera. Can you give us a bit of money and we'll do the rest as well? Imagine if the NRL gave Adelaide 60 to 80 million to build a team and to get things going. And all we had to do was just build a stadium. Darren, imagine that.
Oh, that would be awesome. That'd be great.
Obviously, that'll be great. And that 80 to 100 million. Okay, here I'm pushing it. Of course I am. You give me a little bit, I want more. I want a little bit more. But the 80 to $100 million that'll be used to fund for a team, employment, but obviously back to the grassroots. Again, back to the grassroots, and not just specifically in Adelaide. We're talking about grassroots over in the Eyre Peninsula, the Fleur Peninsula, right? Both of those wonderful, magnificent, beautiful parts of South Australia that I've been to.
Mhm.
Funding across the whole of South Australia there, Darren. And obviously as well, a focus as well on Indigenous youth in particular as well, which I think is really important for the growing of the game.
Definitely.
Yeah, give me a thoughts there, Darren, please.
And if the corporate world could see that the government have hypothetically given us a chunk of money to build a stadium and to put the foundations in for a team, and they can say, well, this is happening, I want to get on board. It might also make the corporate world say, put their hand in their pocket and write us a check. And if they can see things are happening, then it would hopefully draw more sponsors in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
And I'll also say this actually. The thing about South Australian Rugby League, look, we're not going to make any secrets here. There's no secrets here. In terms of quality, it's quite poor, right? I'm not even going to compare it to New South Wales or Queensland. I'm going to compare it to WA. I'm going to compare it to Victoria, right? It is quite poor. It is quite poor, all right? But in saying that, though, it's a state. It's not like we're not trying. We have so many great volunteers throughout Adelaide, South Australia, who are doing their bit to push rugby league. Okay, unsung heroes there. Um, Darren, did you want to sort of say anything or?
Volunteers in the South Australian NRL have always been a really big part of the game and the league. And I've been a volunteer at NRLSA, and just to see the other volunteers and be around them and talk to them, just to see how passionate they are about the game of rugby league, their club, and the league.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not like that we're a state that is not trying. I understand there's a coaching clinic regarding touch, or I think they're trying to build a touch team. I know in recent weeks and months we've had state tours as well, right? Touring around interstate, playing other teams. Regardless of results, South Australia, they're putting up their hand, they're trying. So it's more so just hoping that the NRL understand. It's sort of like how do I say this? Rugby league in South Australia is, or should I say, the way that South Australia goes about it with rugby league. It's probably like a probably similar to an individual there with not enough gear, right? Say for example, not enough rugby league gear, to sort of I guess make things sort of happen. But they've got a ball at least. They've got a tee. It's not flashy like they have in New South Wales where they've got 10 tackling pads, etc., etc. You get what I'm saying? But in South
Yes.
Australia, we have at least a rugby league ball. We have a tee, right? It's better than nothing. We're doing what we can. So it's not like we're a state here that's completely ignoring. No, no. There are people
No.
there that are doing their best, So I feel like the NRL, if they could inject some finance, and like I said, I touched on this before as well, Darren. I said I truly believe that the only way you can really get NRL going here in South Australia is just to inject the team. It's not like Perth. It's not like Melbourne or Perth. It's different. You're gonna have to treat Adelaide differently there, Darren. Is there anything you sort of wanted to say?
Um, just going back to NRL SA, uh, just looking at their Facebook page, they've got a game on talent search. Attend our activation and discover your potential. This is for NRL Wheelchair Rugby League. It's on Saturday, 27th of September between 10 a.m. and 12. And that's at the Lights Community and Sports Centre at 244 270 East Parkway, Lightsview. So there it looks like they want to get involved in NRL wheelchair. So,
How
so there.
awesome is that? See, I touched on it before, Darren. We're a state that's trying. We're doing our best here, guys. We're sorry to all you Queenslanders and New South Welshmen who sort of look down on us. We're sorry. We're sorry that we're not, up there amongst it like you guys are. But we're trying. We're doing our bit. All right. Unfortunately, we're not rich in history there. But hey, we and I guess the reason why we are so passionate, Darren, of having this team here is the fact that there was a team here. If there was no
Yes.
team here, it probably makes no sense to try and bring a team that wasn't here. It probably does make a little bit of sense. But the point is, there was a team here. That's the reason why we do this, Darren, is because there was a team here for 2 years, regardless of result, regardless of wins and losses. They were here for 2 years, and I will say this though: not in any of those 2 years did the Rams get a wooden spoon. So eat your heart out there, West Tigers, Newcastle Knights. All right, so Parramatta Eels. Anyway, I joke, but you get my point. In all seriousness,
Yes.
no, we're definitely trying there, Darren. So yeah, I mean that probably about wraps it up. I guess we've covered NRL, we've covered location, population, we've talked a bit of government, little dabble in politics there, but mainly the funding, South Australian Rugby League, and just quickly as well, I just want to go back on this before we finish, Darren. I actually want to bring highlight to the wheelchair rugby league, SA and SANRL, NRLSA. Sorry, I just want to commend you guys for doing that. I think it's so I want to be honest, it's beautiful, it's heartwarming, it's inclusive, it's awesome, and I really hope, ladies and gents, if you guys are listening and you know someone who is maybe wanting to do something like that, um, you know, please let them know. And obviously, this sort of webs out, and I don't want to say it, but I will. This also extends out to the NDIS sort of thing, NDIS as well. Anyone there who's keen to have a bit of a role on there, if you will, please let them know. Spread the word there, guys. But again, yeah, Darren. I think if there was sort of one message I want to drive home to the listeners today, and possibly to Peter Milonakis, and the rare occasion, the rare chance that he or Andrew Abdo or Mister Vlandis are listening, we're a state that's trying. I guess, Darren, you can agree. We're trying. We don't have it all
Yes.
together. We definitely don't have the foundations. I mean, we have the foundations, but we definitely don't have like the leg up there, if you will. But I reckon if the NR really looked and they just gave us the boosting and they just said, screw it, we're going to just do it, I reckon it'll take off. It would. But I think that's all I've got to say there, Darren. Thanks, guys, for listening. Give us your thoughts and everything we've said. Who you're tipping, who do you want to win, who do you not want to win. And I guess, yeah, that's all there from me, Darren. But any last words there?
No. Just thanks to listeners for tuning in. And we'll be back couple of weeks, fortnight, with another great topic by Api.
Up the Rams. Come
Up
on.
the Rams. Cool.
Awesome. How was that, Darren?
That was really excellent.
Yeah, a good again, thought provoking. Yeah, look, Darren. It's and obviously